ब्रेक कितने के मिल गया है? 5 मिनट का ब्रेक है, उसमें फोन नहीं देखोगे तो कौन सा कंपनी डूबने वाला है? तो 5 मिनट में फोन नहीं देखोगे तो ज्यादा लॉस हो जाएगा। तो व्हाई इट इज अ हैबिट, वो हैबिट बन चुका है ना कि 5 मिनट ब्रेक लगाने की फोन दे। चलो, व्हाट वाज द लास्ट टॉपिक वी वर स्टडीइंग? Digestion, I think that is over. Absorption did we learn? Definition I must have given you. Check करो.
Now we did the stomach. Stomach.
We did till stomach.
Small intestine and large intestine.
We haven't done that. Okay. So we have been talking about what? The stomach. So far, why so many are absent today?
People have annual day and
आज today. Okay, and बाकी लोगों का छुट्टी शुरू हो गया. Now, when we are talking about the functions, now the alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, what are the 5 parts? 5 parts are the mouth, the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. We have written one answer. What is the difference? What is the significance of the small intestine being long, coiled, narrow? Do you remember? You had written that answer. Did you write? What is the significance of the small intestine being long, coiled, narrow? You haven't written here. Acha. Take that question. We'll have to write this. Small intestine is done, no? Stomach, till stomach is done. Okay. Put the head small intestine, then we will write. Write down the question. Put the head small intestine, that's the next part that we are going to study. Put the head small intestine and write. What is the significance of the small intestine? What is the significance of the small intestine being long, extensively coiled and narrow?
What is the significance of small intestine
Being long, comma, extensively coiled, C-O-I-L-E-D, long, extensively coiled and narrow. Long, extensively coiled and narrow. So now, write down the answer, then we are going to start. The small intestine is extensively coiled and narrow, which allows food to pass through very slowly, which allows food to pass through very slowly and mix with the digestive juices, so that digestion can take place efficiently. digestion can take place efficiently. Done. So now I'll start with the small intestine. Look into the figure there, the small intestine. What are the parts of the small intestine? So I would say the parts of the small intestine to understand. The first part of the small intestine that starts from the stomach, this is known as the duodenum. This part is known as the duodenum. Duodenum is a very important part of the small intestine. Why? Because if you see the duodenum, it has got the pancreas on one side, so it receives the juices from the pancreas. And what is the other gland on the other side of the pancreas? What is the other gland? The other side of the pancreas has the liver. The other side of the pancreas has the liver. So this duodenum, when the food is rushing down from here, it will get the juices from the liver and the juices from the pancreas. So in this particular region, various different steps of digestion can take place. The pH of the food changes, meaning from the acidic to the alkaline nature it takes place. And that is very much necessary for the digestion of certain type of nutrients. If you remember, what was the step of digestion or what was the enzyme present in the mouth? We have been talking about that the mouth has got only one particular enzyme, the salivary amylase. We'll talk about the glands. So now that the food is in the stomach, what is the name of the juice produced by the stomach? Juice produced by the stomach. What is the name of the juice we have learned the other day? Gastric juice. While I did not speak of it, I have not taught you only that. So when I talk about the stomach produces gastric juice. What are the components of the gastric juice? Gastric juice is made up of hydrochloric acid, pepsin, mucus. It is made up of gastric juice is made up of three major components: hydrochloric acid, mucus, and the role of each we have learned the other day. Hydrochloric acid, what is its job? Mucus, what is its job? And pepsin, that's the enzyme that we have come across, which will digest proteins. The food which is running down from the stomach to the intestine is acidic. In this part, the food becomes alkaline because the rest of the digestion has to take place. So how is the food made alkaline in the duodenum? From the liver, from the pancreas, the digestive juices make the food alkaline. You will understand, you will write answers on this also. So what is this first part of the small intestine I mentioned? In your diagram, in your textbook, please mention this part is known as duodenum. See, duodenum. Duodenum. In your textbook, or the volume, whatever you have brought, find out the diagram for the alimentary canal. Find out the diagram for the alimentary canal and point out the first part of the small intestine as duodenum. That is known as duodenum. In your textbook, it will be easier. The first part of the small intestine is known as duodenum. Then what is the second part known as? This mid-region, the middle portion of the small intestine. What is it known as? Jejunum. And what is the last part, very important part of the small intestine known as? This is known as the ileum. So what are the three major regions of the small intestine? Characteristics of the small intestine, I just now mentioned that this small intestine is extensively coiled. Which are some of the features? Coiled. It is extensively narrow. The small intestine is coiled. The small intestine is extensively long and narrow. What is the significance? Just now we have written down the answer. What are the parts? The parts of the small intestine, the first one I just now showed you in the figure there. The first part of the small intestine is the duodenum. What is the second part? The second part is known as the jejunum. And the third part is known as the ileum. In your diagram in the textbook or the volume, at least mark the duodenum and the ileum. This is very important, you should know which regions are we talking about. Duodenum and the ileum, mark it very nicely. So now the three parts we are going to learn. What are the functions of each? So the duodenum and the jejunum and the ileum, the three major parts of the small intestine. So roughly to understand why the duodenum, I am saying the duodenum and the ileum is very, very special. Why? Because in the duodenum the food is made alkaline. In the duodenum the food is made alkaline. And how is the food made alkaline? By the digested juices from two glands. Which are the two glands? The two glands are the liver and pancreas. Can you see on either side of the duodenum there's the liver and the pancreas. On one side pancreas, the other side liver. So why is duodenum so special? Because so many steps of digestion are carried out there. Because it receives the enzymes from the duodenum, from the liver. Jejunum, nothing much. I'm saying jejunum is not a very important part. It has got no special features, but yes, only that the process of digestion takes place. Process of digestion is taking place, definitely, many steps of digestion. How is ileum? Very, very important. Ileum is extremely important here. The moment I talk about digestion, digestive system. How is the ileum? Very, very important. Consists of finger-like projections. What are these finger-like projections known as? These finger-like projections are known as the villi or the villi. Meaning, if I am drawing the duodenum in a section, how do I see the inner region? The inner region is something like this. How do I see the inner region? It is something like this, all layers and layers of cells. What about the jejunum? Almost the same. The jejunum, when I draw, it again has got layers and layers of cells. That is what it is. Is it the same when I talk about the ileum? No, it's a bit different. When I talk about the ileum, the diameter of the tube is almost the same, but then when I look into the inner wall of the ileum, the inner wall of the ileum is all like this. It's not even like this. The inner wall of the ileum is all like this, and apart from that, the layers and the layers of the cells. So I'm saying the inner wall of the ileum has got this type of finger-like projections. And what are these finger-like projections known as? These finger-like projections are known as villi. Meaning, I'm talking about this tube. This tube, if cut in a section, what is the diagram I'm drawing? I'm drawing, if the tube can be cut in this section, the duodenum, the jejunum and the ileum, what do you see inside? The duodenum and the jejunum very regular, smooth layers of cells. Ileum, not that way. Ileum would be different. How would the ileum look like? Say suppose this is the ileum. The inner wall of the ileum is all like this. What did I draw? Numerous finger-like projections are there. Numerous. See, the inner wall has got so many finger-like projections. What are these finger-like projections known as? Villi. I talk about in a magnified form. See how it is. All finger-like projections. What are these? Villi. Talk about one such finger-like projection. What is that? Villus. How does the villus look like? It looks like this, magnified in a section. The single villus, one single villus looks like this. What are the components inside the villus? The villus has a very thin wall. This thin wall is made up of only one single layer of epithelial cells, making the wall so thin that molecules can easily pass through. Making the wall so thin that the molecules can easily pass through. A diffusion, a process known as diffusion can easily happen. But I understand that what is the need of these finger-like projections? Can you tell me? Why in the inner wall of the ileum there are millions of this type of finger-like projections? To increase the surface area. To increase the surface area. Q. To bring about absorption. So increase the surface area means what? I talk about tape. I talk about a wire, thin, long. This wire, thin, long. And now that I talk about this wire, thin, long, the length of this wire is 5 meters, say suppose. But once it is thin and long and there is no folds, it will occupy it will occupy a specific space. But in that same space, can I accommodate a tube or a wire, not 5, but 50 meters? I want to insert a tube of 50 meters there. Then what has to be done? That tube has to be folded, 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 folded. I talk about a spring. I talk about a wire. Say suppose I talk about a wire, this one, and then I talk about a wire like this, a spring like this. Will the length of both be the same? No. When I stretch this, it may be having a length of 20 centimeter. When I measure this, maybe a length of only 5 centimeter. So, such examples like this, if you remember, if you have seen those landline phones and the telephone cords, you have seen so long. If you stretch them, they are so long. They are almost about 1.5 to 2 meters long, those cords. But then when they are extensively coiled, they look so short. So same like that, this membrane that I am talking about, which is extensively coiled, if this can be cut from one end and stretched up, it will be almost the length of this into 100 times. Whatever the diameter inside, or the length of this membrane inside, into 100 times it is. So am I not saying that since it is extensively coiled, the membranes are so compressed and compact, but these membranes, from every small area, the process of diffusion is happening. So that's why we are saying, what is the significance of the villi? The significance of the villi is the surface area is increased by 100 times. But surface area has to be increased 100 times. Why? Why is that necessary? So that a process known as absorption can happen. And what is absorption? Nothing but diffusion. Let me come again. What am I saying? I'm saying what are the different parts of the small intestine? 1, 2 and 3. Why is duodenum special? Which part is known as duodenum? The first part of the small intestine, which starts from the stomach. Jejunum is the middle part. I'm talking about ileum. Why is the ileum so special? Because the inner membrane is extensively coiled. What are those coils known as? The finger-like projections known as villi. And every single villus. What is the special feature? 2 points you have to write here. What are the special features of the villus? A very thin wall made up of one single layer of epithelial cells to carry out what? Diffusion. And a rich supply of blood vessels. Diffusion means what? The molecule moves through this and should come into the blood vessel. So what are the 2 special features of the villus? The 2 special features of the villus are a very thin wall made up of single layer of epithelial cells and rich supply of blood vessels. We will have to write one answer here. Write down. What are the special features of the small intestine which favors absorption? What are the special features of the small intestine that favors absorption? Question mark. Continue. How are the villi designed? How are the villi designed to carry out absorption? How are the villi designed to carry out absorption? Right? The last part of the small intestine, answer. The last region of the small intestine, that is The last region of the small intestine, that is the villi. I'm sorry, the last region of the small intestine, that is the ileum, contains the last region of the small intestine, that is the ileum, contains numerous finger-like projections. Contains numerous finger-like projections known as villi. In its inner wall, known as villi in its inner wall, full stop. Villi increases the surface area for absorption of nutrients. Villi increases the surface area for absorption of nutrients. Full stop. Next paragraph. Nutrients. Nutrients. Full stop. Go to the next paragraph. Every single villus, VILLUS, singular. Every single villus has the following features. Has the following features which favors. Has the following features which favors absorption. Go to that. Number 1. A single thin lining. A single thin lining of epithelial cells. Can you tell me? We have studied last year tissues. Epithelial cells location, can you tell me?
The uterus, thymus, in the nostrils, inner lining of the mouth.
Epithelial. So epithelial always forms the inner lining of any type of a body part or the outer covering always. So that's the reason we are talking about inner lining of the ileum now. Forms a single layer of
Single thin lining of
epithelial cells. A single thin lining of epithelial cells. Full stop. Number 2. Rich supply of blood vessels. Rich supply of blood vessels. Rich supply of blood vessels. Okay. Now, what did you write here? What is the special feature that the small intestine? What is the special feature that the small intestine is favoring the process of absorption? You have to write about the villi. The special feature is that the villi brings about the process of absorption. Then what is the special structure of the villus? Every single villus will have a thin wall of epithelial cells. One single layer of epithelial cells only, and that's the reason diffusion is possible. So now, these are the 3 parts that we know. What are the 3 major regions of the small intestine? 1, 2 and 3. How are these 3 regions special? Number 1 and number 3 majorly to understand. We have studied their characteristics. What are the general functions of the small intestine? What will you write? What are the general functions of the small intestine then? Write 2 functions of the small intestine. It's a question in your paper. So now, if I talk about the entire alimentary canal, remember, the entire alimentary canal has a length of 9 meters. The entire alimentary canal has a length of 9 meters, and here the small intestine itself, we are talking about 7 meters long. So is that the longest part of the alimentary canal? Yes. And just now we have discussed also that the small intestine is extensively long. It is extensively narrow coiled. Yes, it is almost 7 meters in length. So the food has to pass through the small intestine in a very slow speed. Why? What is the objective? Why is it narrow? So that the food should not rush down. If the food rushes down, then there is no digestion happening. The food moves down slowly so that it can mix with the digestive juices and the process of digestion happens. What are the two general functions that you are going to write? What are the general functions of the small intestine? Number one is completes the process of digestion. In the small intestine, so many steps of digestion will take place. So complete the process of the digestion of nutrients. Completes the process of digestion of nutrients. At the start of the chapter, we had talked about this word nutrients. What are nutrients? The start of the chapter, remember? Autotrophic, and at that time we had discussed about this. What are nutrients? Now that you are writing down nutrients, what does that mean?
The process of procurement of
Nutrients. What are nutrients?
to development utilization.
That is nutrition. What is nutrient?
The carbohydrates, proteins,
Chemical components of the food. Always remember, what are nutrients? Chemical components of the food. The carbohydrate present in the bread, that carbohydrate is a nutrient. Calcium, magnesium present in the milk, that calcium, magnesium is the nutrient, mineral. The protein in the egg, that protein is a nutrient. So what is the meaning? The chemical component present in any food, nutrient. Now, the function, the first one I wrote, what is the function of the small intestine? Two functions quite often asked in your exam. Write two functions of the small intestine. Number one, what will you write? Number one is completes all the process of digestion, meaning by the time the food is in the ileum, digestion is over. Then what is the second function to write? Carries out absorption. Carries out the process of absorption. Carries out the process of absorption, which is nothing but a process of diffusion of substances. What is the meaning of the word diffusion? When I'm speaking diffusion, do you remember what you studied last year? Movement of same thing is happening in our body also. So this is about the small intestine. What about the large intestine? Now let us study. The large intestine, the fifth part of the alimentary canal. The large intestine, if you are trying to understand what is some of the parts, the digestive role is involved there in the large intestine. So what are the parts of the large intestine? Number one is cecum, number two colon, and number three rectum. In this figure also you can see all these parts there. That when we are talking about the cecum, colon, and rectum, the cecum, colon, and rectum, the three major parts of the large intestine. Which one? This is the cecum, a very short, small region where the ileum come and meet. This is known as the cecum. And then from there starts the next following region is the colon. Colon is the longest region of the large intestine. Always to remember, colon is the longest region of the large intestine. So colon is the longest part of the large intestine. And then we have got the rectum. What are the functions? Specifically, we are not talking much about the rectum or the colon and the rectum because overall their functions are same. They don't have any special functions like this. Overall, their functions are same. Then what are their functions? Number one, large intestine brings about the reabsorption of water. Brings about the reabsorption of the water from the undigested food. Reabsorption of water from the undigested food. From the undigested food substances. So this is one function. And what is the second function? The second function is the formation of the waste substances. Formation of the waste substances. What is the word that we should use? Known as feces. Okay, now let us look on this. We look into these 2 points. What did we write just now? What is the job of the large intestine? Reabsorption of water. What is the meaning? Reabsorption. What is the meaning of this word? Look into this. By the time the food is in the ileum, what has happened? Absorption is going on. But what is the consistency of the food here? It's almost liquid. Because all throughout the food has come in contact with so many juices from the stomach, from the liver, from the pancreas, from the small intestine. So now the solid food what we had swallowed down progressively it is becoming fluid and liquid and liquid. So now the undigested food which is moving from the ileum to the large intestine. What is the first part of the large intestine? Cecum. So now the food, undigested food is all almost in the liquid state. So this has to go up and move up, move up. How will the food, this liquid, this undigested food, how will it keep moving up? Colon and how will it go? How will it go? Which process helps in this movement? The undigested food which is in the fluid state, liquid state has come to the cecum now, come to the large intestine now. My question is, how will it go up through the colon and the entire colon and come to the rectum? How? How does the food keep moving from one region of the alimentary canal to the other? What is that process? हाँ? अभी ये part खत्म हो रहा है तो first part भूल गए. What is the process which helps? Peristalsis. So peristalsis helps. Peristalsis is what? Did we write on the definition? I think so. Continuous contraction and relaxation of the alimentary canal. So this continuous contraction and relaxation of the alimentary canal is now allowing the food to move up, colon, and then come to the rectum. So now that the food is moving up and moving through this, what is happening? Reabsorption of water. What did I say? What is the consistency? Almost liquid है. So liquid में से जो water part है, should it remain in the colon and in the rectum? No, it should not remain in the rectum and the colon. By the time it comes here, almost 90%, 85 to 90% of the water should be given up to the nearest blood vessel. So from here, now the reabsorption starts. The water is moving out. Surrounding इसके काफी सारे blood vessels हैं. So the water is constantly moving towards the blood. So progressively the undigested material is becoming fluid, liquid से fluid से semi-solid होता जा रहा है. Why? Reabsorption of water. Why is reabsorption of water necessary? Reabsorption of water अगर नहीं होगा, then at one particular time when we are excreting out whole lot of water loss from the body, our body immediately starts suffering from dehydration, water loss. And what would happen if a person suffers from diarrhea, cholera, ऐसे वाले situation में what happens when the person is constantly giving away a whole lot of water from the body? That's the reason the person may collapse also, because so much of water lost from the body. So our body is made in such a way that when the waste substances are moving up, a whole lot of reabsorption of water takes place. Meaning what? The water has to be given back to the blood. ताकि blood का जो consistency है वो stable रहे. The blood should never become thick. हमारे body से जितना ज़्यादा water loss होगा, the blood starts getting thicker. So that's the reason whenever we sweat also, we have to constantly keep drinking water. Our blood should never become thick. So this is the meaning of reabsorption. So reabsorption जैसे हो रहा है, the process of formation of the waste will happen, and that is the second function of the large intestine that we have written down, formation of the waste substances on the feces. So this is about the entire alimentary canal. What did we learn? We had learnt about the stomach, we had learnt about the small intestine, we had learnt about the large intestine. Now talk about the next part. Digestive system, if you remember, I said digestive system has got two major parts. What are those? ये तो हो गया alimentary canal. Alimentary canal के 5 parts. What were the 5 parts of the alimentary canal? The mouth and the esophagus and the stomach and the small intestine, large intestine. हो गया 5 parts. What else is remaining in the digestive system? The digestive glands. What are the 3 digestive glands? The salivary glands, the liver and the pancreas. So we have to learn that. So we now talk about the digestive glands. How many digestive glands? 3 major 3. There are some more also, but we are talking about major 3 glands. So I start with the digestive glands. Where are these digestive glands located? What are their names? Where are these digestive glands located? The digestive glands are located in and around the mouth. The digestive glands are located in and around the mouth. Naam kya hai? Number one, parotid glands. The first one, parotid glands. The second one, submandibular glands. Submandibular glands. Third क्या है? Sublingual glands. Submandibular and sublingual. Where are they? Check their locations. The salivary glands. One pair of glands here. One pair of glands here present. And the other pair of glands. Meaning parotid here. Submandibular. See the location. It is all present near this jaw from here. And the sublingual is just inside below the tongue. Below the tongue. If you roll your tongue, you can see also, you can feel also that there's something, some swollen structures down there below the tongue. That is the sublingual gland. So all these glands, 1, 2, 3, check here. All these glands, the parotid and the mandibular and the lingual glands, by the way of these tube-like structures, constantly they are throwing this watery secretion in the mouth. And what is this watery secretion known as? The watery secretion is known as the saliva. What is this watery secretion known as saliva? What are some of the features to remember? The saliva is colorless. There are so many secretions in our body which has got some yellowish color, yellowish orange color. But no, this is absolutely colorless. What is its composition? If I have to talk about the composition of the saliva, what would be the composition? Composition, it has got small amount of water. It has got a specific enzyme, and what is the name of this enzyme? Salivary amylase. And it has got small amount of mucus. So what is the composition of the saliva? सबसे important याद रखना है the enzyme which is there in the saliva. Which is that enzyme in the saliva? Salivary amylase, also known as the xylene. So now that we are talking about the saliva, can you tell me what is the job? वो तो role है enzyme. So if I talk about what is the soften the food. Now that you are eating anything, and if the saliva secretion is not there, will you be able to swallow that food down? No, it is so rough and it will be so dry. You will not be able to swallow it. So the saliva is constantly moistening the food, helping us to swallow the food down. It helps in swallowing the food. Tell me.
Now, what is that water thing? After substances slash
Undigested food substances, formation of water, formation of waste substances, feces. FAECES. FAECES. Okay, if you go there, the 3 types of glands and their secretion. Name the collective secretion released in the mouth. What is your answer? Saliva. Name the enzyme, salivary amylase. And salivary amylase that we are talking about later when we study the steps. We are going to study the steps of digestion. On what type of food will it act on? Salivary amylase will only act on carbohydrates. Salivary amylase will only act on carbohydrate food. This is the salivary amylase and the salivary gland that we are talking about. Next one. The next gland of the body that we have to remember is the liver. The second gland, the largest gland of the body. So we are talking about the liver here. So which type of secretion and their role will have to come across. What is this location? Can you tell me where is the liver located? Here or here? Right or left? Right side. Right side. This is the liver. Here is the stomach. The liver is almost opposite to the stomach. So the liver that we are talking about actually has not only digestive role, it has got so many apart from digestive functions, it has got so many other functions. Right now we are only talking about the digestive role. The liver, location of the liver is opposite to the stomach on the right side of the abdominal cavity. What does it produce? The liver secretes the gastric juice. I'm sorry, the bile juice. The liver secretes the bile juice. Composition of bile juice is what? The liver secretes the bile juice. The moment we talk about the word bile, always has to be something related with the liver. Now, let us talk about that the location of the liver and the bile juice and the glands. See there, where is the liver? Is the liver and the pancreas and the duodenum very close? Yes, they are very close. The liver and the pancreas and the duodenum very close. What is duodenum? I told you the first part of the small intestine. First part. So this bile juice that I'm talking about, what is its composition? It has again water. Next what? It has bile salts. Next what? It has bile pigments. That is its composition. The composition of the bile juice is this. It has got water, some type of salts. That is the bile salts. Bile salts are basically the sodium potassium salts. So talking about the bile salt, this play a major role. This bile salts will act on fats. They bring about fat breakdown. These bile salts are very much responsible for the fat breakdown. So what am I saying? What is this liver producing? Bile juice. Composition क्या है? Water, bile salts, bile pigments. Bile pigments, they generally give a yellowish color. So what is the color of the bile juice then? What is the color of the bile juice? Yellowish. What is the color of the bile juice? The bile juice is yellowish in color. Why? Because of the presence of the bile pigments. That is the answer that you should write. The color of the bile juice is yellow because of this. Then bile salts will always help in fat breakdown. We'll talk about the process in a separate segment of the chapter. The last part is pancreas. What is the location of the pancreas? Check from the figure.
Below the stomach.
Behind the stomach. See from the figure, it is very clear that the stomach is almost more than half of the pancreas is hidden. You cannot see straight. More than half of the pancreas is hidden because of the presence or the position of the stomach. So we will write what is the position of the pancreas? Behind the stomach. It is actually behind the stomach. What is this pancreas producing? The pancreas is producing another digestive juice. What is the name of this juice? The pancreatic juice. Every particular juice, if you come across, every particular juice has got an adequate amount of water in it. Every particular digestive juice that we are talking about has a water component in it, and that is the reason the food is constantly becoming fluid in nature. Water is getting added on it. What are the components? Pancreatic juice again, small amount of water, small amount of salts, and variety of enzymes. Here you will have to remember names of certain enzymes. Which are the names of the enzymes? Number one is trypsin. Take a note, all of you. Trypsin. Next is pancreatic amylase. And third is pancreatic lipase. Three types of enzymes. Prominently three we are talking about. There are so many. So we are talking about pancreas, another digestive gland located behind the stomach. What type of enzymes? Trypsin, these are the protein digesting ones. Amylases, these are the carbohydrate digesting ones, and lipases, these are the fat digesting ones. Whenever now, in the next segment of the chapter, we will learn what are the different steps of digestion. But for that, you have to remember, the moment you come across amylase, you should understand that these are trypsin is protein digesting enzymes.
And
Amylase, pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, this type of names always protein digesting. Pancreatic amylase, intestinal amylase, salivary amylase, always carbohydrate digesting. Lipases, pancreatic lipase, intestinal lipase, always fat digesting. So these names common, I'm just giving you a basic rule to remember so it becomes easier this way. So right now you are aware what are the different digestive glands, digestive alimentary canal. I'll give you 5 questions immediately, try answer. So this much only to understand for the alimentary canal and the digestive system. The next is process of digestion. Next, once these concepts are clear, then the process of digestion, remembering very easy. Let me just see how much you are following. Take some 5 questions, very elementary, very simple. Number one, a small revision. Number one, why is the food acidic in the stomach? Why is the food acidic in the stomach? You right now. No, let everybody think. Why is the food acidic in nature in the stomach? One line for the answer. One line for the answer. Number two, the continuous wave of contraction and relaxation. The continuous wave of contraction and relaxation that takes place and relaxation that takes place in the alimentary canal. One line for the answer. Number three, in the alimentary canal. Number three. Number three, parts of the alimentary canal where digestion does not take place. Parts of the alimentary canal where digestion does not take place. One line for the answer. Number four, special structures which carry out special structures in the alimentary canal that carry out diffusion of nutrients. Towards the blood. Nutrient towards the blood. One line for the answer. Number five. Towards the blood. Diffusion of nutrients towards the blood. Number five. Name the largest gland of the human body. Name the gland of the human body. And the digestive juice released. Largest gland in the human body and the digestive juice released from it. You don't have to write that composition. And the digestive juice released from it. Okay? Try answering these 5 questions.